my brother, thank you so much for doing this interview with me. And I have to say, right off the top, I love your style. I love your rhythm. I love your words. I love your spirituality, what's going on with the world. You feel everything in your music, man. Have you grown up? Did you grow up as a very sensitive kind of person? Because when I listen to your music, it seems like you are very sensitive to your awareness. I think that's the best way to put it.
Yeah, first of all, I appreciate that. I really do. Um, and yeah, I did grow up like very, very like sensitive, like a sensitive kid. It's one of those kids that used to pack his stuff whenever stuff stuff went wrong and just like run away from home. You know what I mean? Um, but yeah, I've grown up very sensitive for sure.
And you can hear it in your music, man. I think that's what makes it so beautiful too, because the way the world has been these days, man, everybody is so sensitive. It's incredible. But before we get into how you've been dealing with that and everything, RBC Music, man, you're part of this program. First up, how does it feel being part of something like this, where you have basically the nine of the best young artists in this country representing music, and basically it's almost like saying you guys are all the next big thing, and you're a part of this group.
I think it's great. I think like now it's just kind of like proving them right. You know what I mean? Like a lot of times, uh, especially when you're coming up and you're like really hungry, it's almost like you're always trying to prove people wrong. Just, you know what I mean? Like in terms of proving yourself, but in situations like this, it's just literally like, you got people who believe in you, you just got to prove them right, you know? So like, that's kind of where my head's at now. It's just, all right, now, yeah, I got to prove people right.
When you're doing that, what has this program done for you getting involved with this?
It's done a lot, to be honest, not being able to do a lot of shows during pandemic times, like they've offered certain opportunities for me, that have been really cool. Like even little stuff like stuff like this, just like putting myself out there, you know what I mean? It's like, yeah, they've done a lot for me. And just like financially as well, they've helped out financially a lot. Um, and any artist knows like yeah, that's very important. So yeah, they've helped out a lot.
I've been saying this for the last couple of weeks with the pandemic going on, and you know how financially people have been hit. I've always been saying that artists like yourself are probably the best prepared for this, because before the pandemic, we know we all struggle through this and try to get shows and stuff. So when the pandemic hit, it's like you guys were prepared for something like this, emotionally. How was it for you once this pandemic started? Like, what things were you doing beforehand? I mean, it's great with RBC Music doing what they've done, but what were your plans beforehand, and how did it change during the pandemic?
Yeah, I was ready to like go on, you know what I'm saying? I was ready to tour. Like I was ready to, we had a lot of shows set up, and we are kind of in the mindset of like, okay, like it's go time for that, you know? Um, and right when it hit, it's like just a lot of them just got canceled right off the bat. So I guess it was an adjustment period, but I think it was great. Like I had the time to kind of just like reflect and like look back on everything and just figure out exactly what I want to do musically and like where I want to go. And I've taken like the time to do so. I haven't released anything in a while. And I don't feel rushed to do so. You know what I mean? I've just kind of sat back and just really evaluate, okay, like where do I want to go next? Like what do I want my sound to be? What do I want my brand to be? Um, and I'm like I'm figuring it out. Like I'm almost there. And I think if it wasn't for, taking that break, I wouldn't be able to like really do that, and who knows where I would be if I didn't do that. So blessing and a curse, feels like a blessing though. So um it was definitely great.
Always a blessing. Sounds like a 2.0 happening for you, which is great. Let's talk about in
Yeah.
the beginning, though, as a Torontonian, the love of music. Where did that all begin? And when did you start writing your stories?
Yeah. I'm actually I like more from Ottawa. Like I lived in Ottawa most of my life,
No,
and I
no, no, no,
moved
no. You're
here.
from no. You're from Toronto. We're not going to talk about Ottawa because we're going into the hockey season, and people be
Okay.
fighting about that.
Yeah, yeah, all right. I'm a Torontonian then.
Thank you.
I'm
No
yeah,
senators on this. On
yeah, yeah,
this.
yeah. Okay, okay, okay. I got you. I got you. I got the double passport, so I'll switch over on this side for now. But yeah, musically, I mean, I'm still fairly new. Um, and I started actually writing and like putting out songs about 4 years ago. Um, in terms of like when I guess I fell in love with music, as they say. Um, hmm. I guess like in my younger days, like me and my brother used to freestyle all the time, and whatnot. And I remember I think like my first MP3 when I got my first MP3, it was like a little white thing, nice MP3 player. I had some uh Eminem on there. That's when I started listening to hip hop and whatnot. You know, it had some Tupac on there, and whatnot. And then it just progressively grew from there, you know. I think listening to artists like Kanye kind of opened me to different types of music because he was the type of artist who would have like people you wouldn't expect them to be on there with. Jay did kind of the same thing. Like I remember listening to Numb Encore and being like, okay, like this is, it's like I started with hip hop and just started like deviating towards like different things. But um yeah, yeah. In terms of like listening to music was at a young age. In terms of writing music though, was like 4 years ago when I was like, okay, let me start kind of fiddling with some ideas and seeing where this goes. Yeah.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong. I heard you can sing also.
I can, yeah, I can hold a tune. I can hold a tune, yeah.
What do we? Because I was listening to your music and I haven't caught any of it yet. Why aren't we hearing more of the vocals too?
That's what I'm trying to transition into a lot more. Yeah, again, like I'm a new act, you know what I mean? Like I'm fig I've I've been figuring things out. Like there's a lot of people who kind of just like they'll they won't put things out until they figured it out, right?
Mhm.
And then you'll see kind of like they'll pop out with like a label behind them, and it's almost like they just came out of the blue. I've been figuring myself and my sound out like in front of people openly, you know what I mean? So like if you listen to any of the releases from when I started, they're all pretty different.
Mhm.
And I think you can see like a progression. And I don't want to take any of like my I've thought of like taking all of my old songs down and just, you know what I mean?
No,
Like
no, no. Leave it
and
up.
that's what I'm saying. It's like it's cool to just kind of like I have my first song ever released on SoundCloud, and it's cool to like I think anyone who wants to kind of embark on the journey to go back and like listen to like the first thing and just see where it goes, But I've been figuring this stuff out like openly, and I think that's gonna be a cool thing, when I finally get there. But the singing thing is one thing that I've kind of been playing around with, and like trying out, and I've been hella shy to do so, But I'm finally getting to the point where I'm like, like let's see how people kind of like take to it, and I think people are gonna like really like it. So yeah.
You know, being an old folk guy like myself, though, a lot of people back in, of course, in my day would say that probably one of the, if not the greatest albums was the Beatles' White Album. And it took
hmm
a lot of years before the Beatles got to that White Album. Do you ever think about what your White Album would eventually be?
all the time, yeah. I do like what my magnus opus or whatever it would be. I do think about it. Um, it's like I try to kind of like do it with I think they probably tried to make the White Album before they were even able to make the White Album, right?
Mhm.
Because you want every single project that you come out with to be like the one. And realistically, I've only had one project out. It was a 5-song EP. And this next one, it's like I feel like it has to be my White Album, but realistically, it probably won't be. But it's like I gotta aim for that all the time. I don't know when it'll come. I think to have a White Album, you need to be at a point where you have like the resources to be able to really, you know what I mean, maneuver how you want to maneuver. But that shouldn't stop you from trying to like make your white album all the time, you know? So I with that being said, it's like this next project should be like I want it to be my white album. You know what I mean? It's like that's what I'm gonna aim for, you know? So yeah.
Now, you already have a single out right now, but we're going to talk about the name and what it's about in a second. But when it came to recording during the pandemic, and I'm assuming it's during the pandemic, how tough was it? Like, what were your restrictions and how did you get past those to be able to create music for us to hear?
Yeah. I actually made this song before the pandemic. It's a pretty old song. So this was part of so yeah, I made it before the pandemic. But in terms of recording during the pandemic, I have my own setup at home. You know what I mean? I produce as well. You know, so I've been producing. Like it being during the pandemic kind of made me very independent, like a lot more independent. I've had to trust myself a lot more as well. So again, you know, hidden blessings. Without it, I don't think I'd be as good as a producer. You know what I mean? So, um, yeah, that's for sure.
So, then what would you say is the one thing that you've learned about yourself during the pandemic that you didn't know about yourself before the pandemic?
Hmm. That's a very good question. So one thing that I learned about myself during the pandemic,
Mm-hmm.
right? Um, I don't know. I think I don't mind being alone. You know what I mean? Like, obviously after like a while, like I think every human gets lonely. But I've always been the type to kind of like always want to be around people or whatever. But especially when the pandemic started and I had to like move back home to Ottawa and I was just dolo. It was just like a lot of like alone time, you know what I mean? And I was like, ah, this is kind of cool, you know, like it's not as scary as it seems, you know what I mean? So I think that's like the major thing for sure.
Well, wait till you either go to the movies or take a vacation on your own. That's gonna tell you.
Oh, that's a different step. Movies alone, I don't know. I
I've
don't know
done it,
about
man. I've
movies.
done it many a time. It's actually,
Yeah,
I actually enjoy going to the movies by myself. Got all
yeah,
that
like
space,
well,
eat your food, don't have to worry about anything, and when you're ready to go, you just go. So
yeah. I
take,
might try it out sometime for sure.
yeah, doesn't hurt, man. And what we need, of course, is a good time, not just at the movies, but through music. We were talking earlier. You have a new single out. What's the new single called, and what's the new single about, sir?
New single's called Allo, um, and it's pretty much about like taking like I look at this music stuff as a business as well. You know what I mean? And like I haven't looked at it like that in the past. I've had like a very like romanticized kind of like version in my head of like what this industry is and like how it should be, right? So, um, like this song is just more like okay, like it's just all about like uh what I like this is like the business of it. So like um the lyrics are pretty much like, yo, if you're not calling about like business, just allow me. You know what I mean? I don't really want to talk if it doesn't have to do with, you know, with this business stuff or whatever. So yeah, it's just kind of like that's the main topic of like what the song is about. Yeah, it's just kind of like leave me alone if you're not calling for anything that has to do with the dollar sign, to be honest. But yeah.
So when do we think that this new project that you we were talking about earlier is going to be released? Where are we looking at?
I'm hoping top of the year next year. I'm gonna take again. I feel a lot of pressure, but I do not feel rushed at all. You know,
Yeah.
and those two things are like they're very different. Um, it's like I do feel the pressure to release it, but I don't want to feel rushed. I want to take my time with it and make sure everything's proper. Um, but I do want to drop it like early next year. I know end of the year the industry kind of shuts down anyways,
Mhm.
you know. So I think with this release of this new song, I'm just gonna promote as much as possible for the rest of the year. And then while that's kind of going on, just take my time with this next project, make sure everything's proper and when the team's comfortable, when we're all ready and everything's set up, then just go next year, you know.
Hmm.
The dope thing about a project is like it's a whole bunch of singles, right? So you can promo one if a project's good enough, you know what I mean? You can promo a project and really, really run with it for like a while, you know, and that's what we're planning to do. I know the singles game's kind of like romanticized nowadays because of how fast people move.
Yes.
Um, but I think like a very, very solid project is you're never gonna be able to beat a very, very solid project. So that's the goal with that. So yeah.
You speak the truth there. As we are still heading into towards the end of 2021 and things have been opening up everywhere, slowly, of course. Shows. What are we looking at
Yeah.
for you for shows? Will they be virtual? Will it be live? And will you be coming back to Toronto? Just in Ottawa? What's happening?
Yeah. I actually moved to Toronto, so I'm in Toronto now.
Okay.
In terms of shows, doing a lot of shows with a group called No Tours. So we're a Toronto-based collective while we make music together. Kind of like an Odd Future or like Odd Future type of thing, you know what I mean?
Hmm.
ASAP Mob type of thing. Everyone in the group's super talented, but we're doing a lot of the shows I'm doing right now is with No Tours. So we just did an Access show at Access. Um, I'm not sure if you're familiar with that. It's on College
Yes.
Street.
Yep.
Yeah, so we did a show there. We had another show last week. It was more like an underground show, and then we got a show coming up next week as well. Um, I forget the venue. But yeah, so a lot of the shows are no tour shows. In terms of my solo stuff, I'm waiting it out for that one. Like I don't want to organize or we're not seeking shows right now until we kind of figure out like again the sound stuff. So it's like sound comes first, and once we figure that out, we can kind of run with everything.
Hmm.
But yeah, that's you can catch me at some no tour shows for sure.
Okay, we're looking forward to that. Also, looking forward to the release of your new music. Glad that we've got still music from you out there that we can listen to. Thank you so much for doing this interview with me. Congratulations on the success and looking forward to everything that you're going to be doing in the future. You're a major star on the rise, my friend. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. Thanks for having me.